Good morning, everybody. My name is Carsten Almeida, and I'm a registered counselor here at Company Wellness Solutions. And today we're going to be looking at managing conflict at the workplace without escalation. Let us begin. What conflict really is a great way to go into this topic because conflict actually is divided into two sections. Conflict itself is the differences in needs, goals, and perceptions, whereby the second part is escalation. This is when conflict actually turns into something negative, that emotional intensification as well as the loss of control within ourselves and in our argument that we're having or disagreements. Workplace conflict escalates unintentionally actually for the most part because conflict itself is neutral. We do not necessarily want to fight over things, but we do disagree. That is human nature. We do not always agree on everything, and that is okay. But what happens and what causes the damage is that emotional brain takes over and it shifts from problem solving to self-protection. So rather than dealing with the problem at hand, I rather need to protect myself from your damage and cause of yourself. The brain under conflict, this actually looks at the threat and the threat within ourselves. Now what happens is actually the amygdala gets activated, and this creates a sense of self getting towards that self-flight or flight mode. Now when we're going into the state, we kind of get to less listening and less reasoning and more into assumptions and defensiveness. This actually leads to us having faster speech and reaction towards things rather than being proactive and rather than listening to what is actually being presented to us. When we feel challenged, embarrassed, or ignored, the brain actually reacts and treats this as a threat and not as feedback. So this escalation actually leads to a biological reflex, and that actually leads to our character being a flawed situation whereby we start feeling like we need to defend ourselves, pass blame to others, rather than actually deal with the problem at hand and find a solution to it. Early warning signs of escalation. This is a great way of looking at what is our body, mind, and behavior doing. So first, let's look at our body. Have you ever felt any time when you're getting argued or disagreement or even scolded at, you felt like your body was tense? The heat was rising within your body, so you're feeling a bit flush and maybe even a shallow of breath. So you actually feel like you're actually breathing pretty quickly. Now, this actually happens pretty naturally because like we mentioned it earlier about the amygdala, this is how our body reacts. Now, when it comes to thought, this is always when we're looking at, this is unfair, that thought patterns of that this always happens to me, I'm the one at fault. This is always something that always happens, he's always like this, she's always like that. These are some things that happen within our thought processes. Now, behavior is actually looking at interrupting, defending, and withdrawing. These are the three most common attributes of what happens within our behavior. Interrupting, no wait, I'm not done talking, please let me finish, let me spit my point in. Defending, I'm not the one at fault, they're at fault, I shouldn't have done that, it was your fault, you should have done. And withdrawing, do you know what, it's not worth it, let me just accept whatever's going on and continue going and dealing with the problem. Now, just a quick inflection, just for 10 seconds, I would like for you to actually look at yourself and see which one actually activates first for you. Is it your body, your thoughts, or your behaviors? Managing an escalation early on is actually really key because you can only really deal with it before it becomes a problem. Because once emotions peak, logic gets out the way. The pause principle. This is really important. This is actually a great tool to use in our everyday because every time we slow down our body and calms our mind, we actually get a sense of control back within ourselves. We cannot deal with what is happening in front of us, so a manager or colleague or a project getting yelled or conflict occurring, but we can control on how we react and how we deal with the situation at hand. There's a great thing that always says 1 breath equals 1 second of control. So actually breathing is a great tool of grounding ourselves and bringing ourselves back into that sense of peace and space. Now, pausing is a strength and not an avoidance. You pausing is not leading to a problem, but rather a solution to a problem, allowing yourself to kind of come back, bring yourself back and be there. So a simple tool we can actually use is actually the 4 by 6 seconds. So we breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it, and breathe out for 6 seconds. We do this twice because you disrupt your natural flow of your mind and body to actually reactivate the parasympathetic nervous system and actually allow ourselves to be more present and more in our emotional intensity kind of lowering and our professional state kind of increasing. Separate intent from impact. This is such an important thing to recognize, especially within a professional and relationship setting. Intent, what they meant, this is what I'm trying to tell you, this is where I'm trying to put my information through. Impact is unfortunately how it is landed. This is kind of looking at how do I mean to say it and what is actually coming out. So for example, I didn't mean it in that way. These are very common ways of how intent and impact do not match one another. So active listening is a great skill and a great way of actually taking that moment and saying, what are you saying? This is what I'm hearing and this is how I'm responding. What do you hear and what do you see? Conflict escalates because intent is defensive. This is very common because what our intent is that, okay, I want to protect myself, I want to hold myself accountable, but it seems like this is a problematic state. So some of the easiest examples we can use is that wasn't my intention. Shifting that and making it into a different way, you can actually say, I can hear how that has landed for you. Just that shift kind of makes it more open, less aggressive, and more intensive to actually saying, okay, I see where you're coming from, but this is what I mean by it. Acknowledging the impact does not mean agreeing, because we don't always need to agree on anything we do or on everything we do. It means keeping the conversation workable, meaning that I'm not defensive, you're not defensive. We can communicate and be more proactive on finding a solution that works for both of us. Escalation triggers to avoid. These are some of the things that are so common that happen to us every day. So 1, absolutes, always, never, even when these are some of the things that always make it seem like this is a finite thing. It is not always finite. Sometimes we need some levels of degrees and some levels of aspiration and progression within a conversation. And this is so important because the next point, which is public corrections, is also something that leads to a lot of defensive action. Us getting publicly humiliated or criticized in front of everyone kind of makes us feel little and can also lead to us escalating and needing to feel that we need to be defensive about our actions and the way we do things. And that is always not necessarily the case. Emails under emotional charged is actually a very important one because a lot of times we respond through emails because of technology these days, and having it emotionally charged is not a great thing to have. We want to kind of be logical. We want to see what is the facts, what is it that I'm telling you and what I'm trying to implement. Rather than my actions and my impact, I want to focus more on the intent. As well as that, escalation is often caused by how something is said rather than what is said. So if we're saying that you are a problem versus you are a problem, even my tone can actually create a shift within yourself and saying, okay, why are you saying this? And my coming out and the way I'm saying it can also make it seem if I'm approachable or not approachable about certain topics. So in conclusion, we need to pause before reacting. Take that breath, take that moment, allow yourself to feel like you're centered again. We acknowledge impact. Acknowledge what is it that you're trying to do and where your intent is going. Am I trying to impact you publicly or privately? Am I listening to what you're saying, or am I coming to conclusions without listening at all? And finally, we stay on the same side. We're here to work together. We're here to build something together, finish something together. We're not here to destroy and undermine one another. So keeping to the same side is very crucial, and it will avoid future conflicts down the line.